So first of all, my apologies. Uh, this goes for the do-it-yourself fishing hooks and the lure. We've had nothing but sunny, hot, over 30 plus to 40 Celsius weather. And the one day I decided to set everything up and to do the 2 quick videos, bam, we have a front move through. Again, no rain or anything, just lots of wind. And so I've tried to chop a bunch of that out. It's just, I'm sorry about the wind, folks. I use my Samsung camera on a tripod to do all my videoing. As I've said before, I do not do this professionally. I do not do this for hits and stuff. I do it so that hopefully I'm helping other people. And so it is what it is. I apologize for it. About through part 2 on the making of the soft-bodied lures, it passed and no more wind. But until then, I apologize ahead of time. So today we're going to be dealing with soft baits. And I have some trouble with soft baits. Normally, if I was to rig up a soft bait and it gets snagged either by my top hook, my treble, whatever, and my line breaks, I've lost this entire rig. Also, here in Germany, it is required by law that you have a leader no longer than 32 centimeters, unless you're fly fishing, and then it can be 1 to 2 meters long. But that leader must have a lower break strength than your main line. So that means if I am using my 10.25 kilo braided line, I'm using somewhere around a 21, 22 pound break test. So I have to have my leader material has to be under that, which then adds to the additional problem of there's a very high likelihood if I get snagged, that leader material is still going to break. And again, I've lost my entire rig. Germans are all about bureaucracy. They are all about the rules. So one thing that I do is, if you'll notice here, that is a slipless loop knot, and this is an 8 kilo test that runs through and is attached to a teardrop there we go, a teardrop link. So if this one gets hooked, I've got one line for each. That's going to break. If this one gets snagged, it's going to break. Then I can attach these to either my spinner rig, which is attached to my main line, or directly to my main line. So now, if one of these gets snagged and breaks, I have the chance of retrieving my entire rig. What I did after that is this is my spinner rig setup. This has 3 leaders in the body. One to the top hook, one to the treble. One is super glued to a small eyelet here with additional loose line here. So I've got some play line with this, with my loop. So if this breaks and this breaks as well, I've got this super glued into place as a third line, and that means I get my rig back. And I'm talking all of my rig. Okay? Now, the next thing is this, since I've got leader material in the body, this does not have to be connected to a leader. It goes to my main line. So now the entire body of everything is connected to my main line. My leader material is inside the soft body and ends with my little clamps, my little teardrops. And then for the one that's super glued in, those are round or ovals. Shoe fly. Shoe fly, shoe, don't bother me. This way, I have increased my lure retrieval by 90% should I get snagged and break one of those lines. Alright. Next thing is when dealing with soft baits like this, you use these. I don't like these. My weight is not interchangeable. This has to be attached to my leader because that's my hook as it sits there. So again, if I snag and break, I'm going to lose my entire rig. Also, where I've been fishing for striped perch and so on, which is what these are for. These little, I've got some bigger ones, but the striped perch, or what we call the European perch, will get up to about 8 pounds. The keepable size for zander, or what we would deem as a species of walleye, would be about 40 to 50 centimeters, depending upon the area. The same for Vels catfish. So this is a good sturdy little lure to catch something in between that 4 to 10 pound area out on the rivers. My dilemma is a lot of the German rivers, because this whole area was covered during the Ice Age, is full of rocks, boulders, and everything else. The canals, such as the Rhine and so on, which has been straightened, actually they've laid down rock, big boulders and large rocks on each side to reduce erosion, and then they come through every year or so and they dredge the center where the big boats go through. Well, there's your sandy bottom. There's your muddy bottoms. That's where the fish are. And I've got to cast out there, and then when I'm bringing it back in, my lures have a very high chance, especially if I'm trying to skip them across the bottom, because you got to use a lot of weight, otherwise that current will just carry it down, throw it right against the shore. Once again, I'm burying into the rock, I lose my gear. So I explained how this is working. If I am dealing with actual lures, like here, my spoon, you'll notice there's no metal there. That is a slipless loop knot, double tied, with an 8.6 kilo line. So I can connect this directly to my main line, and I've got all my movement, but if this snags, I only lose the hook, and I just got to tie a new loopless knot with a new hook, and I get my lure back. This can work with any kind of lure. Come here, topwater poppers. Again, you notice I've got full movement on those. Those are loopless. There's slipless loop knots. I've got my hooks onto them. If any of these snag, technically I have leader material between my main line, which comes off of here, and my hook. So this will have a higher tendency to break at this 8.6 kilo before it breaks at my 10.25 kilo. And then I retrieve my lure and I simply just tie a new hook on. And you can do this with any kind of lures. And as you see, it does not affect the movement of those hooks, but I have removed that metal eyelet between the main body of the lure and my hook. So by German law, I'm legal because it says a leader up to 32 centimeters. And this is definitely not over 32 centimeters. When you do a loop, it does not double the strength of the material. Okay? So don't think because I'm using an 8.6 and I have a slipless loop knot on here, that suddenly now, because it's a double line basically, the loop, that I've got a 16 kilo. It's still an 8.6 kilo. And so that's how I reduce losing my baits, my lures and stuff. And the only thing I'm out is tying some new leader material onto the body with a slipless loop knot onto my hook, and I'm up and going again. So, onward and upward.